I'm your girl, Miss Sophia, holding it down right here on WERUradio, home of urban music for the LGBTQI community and me. Between the hours of 2 p.m. and 6 p.m., this is Club Chit Chat. That's right. You know how we do it, honey. We're going to be talking about sports, politics, entertainment, and a little of this and a little of that. That's why we call this Club Chit Chat, baby. With a happy hour coming to you at 5 p.m. like no other happy hour you've ever experienced. So make sure you're around during our happy hour. Hey, I'm your girl, Miss Sophia, holding it down right here on WERUradio, home of urban music for the LGBTQI community and me. Come on, baby, let's ride.
With her, she's just full of energy. She obviously works still in government, but in her off time she's able to kind of give me advice and input and just great energy.
Right, and she ran against you. She ran against you in this election.
Yes.
And you're in the runoff and she's not.
Yes.
And I called her to get her up here to talk about what's going on in the world of politics. And she said, you know what? She said, I'll come up there and I have plenty of time to come up there. She said, but what I want you to do is invite Kwanza Hall up there because he is in a runoff and I'd rather you give him this time and I can come up there later on and we could talk about the runoffs that we have coming up in January, on January the 5th. But your runoff is in December, on December the 1st,
December
right?
1st.
So we're going to take a break and we're going to set everything up, these cameras and all that good stuff, so people all around the world can see Kwanza Hall, and we're going to let you have the floor, but we're going to take that break, okay?
Okay.
Get yourself together, all right?
Go.
I'm the girl, Miss Sophia, hold it down right here on WERUradio. WERUradio. We are the home of the urban sound of pride. Come on, baby. Let's ride.
Check this out. We got a great.
He is running for Congress, and early voting has already started.
That's right.
And tell people where they in what district they can go and vote.
So I'm running for Congress to fill John Lewis's unexpired term. The district basically is bounded by Phillips Plaza on the north all the way down to Morrow on the south, Mount Zion Road, down to the State Farmers Market, Hateville, Morrow, Lake City, College Park, East Point, City of Decatur, Candler Road on the east side, and Fulton Industrial on the west side. So it's a pretty big area, 700,000 people. We need people just to turn up one more time. The vote is something that's very significant in our community, but in particular in this district, because this is a district that not only did Ambassador Andrew Young hold, but also Congressman John Lewis, the late, great Congressman John Lewis, who passed away on July 17th. He gave his life for us to have the right to vote, like so many others, including my father. They fought for this, and I believe it's only fitting that we all go out in a way that we might not have before to show our respect for this great man and to vote in this election. Ideally, I'd love for you to vote for me, but at least show up and vote, because it's someone who actually sacrificed for us, and a lot of people more than just him.
And here we are, your radio. We try to teach everybody that politicians and voting is something that you should keep up with daily, not just when elections come.
That's right.
Me myself, I come from an old long history of voting. I started out with Mickey Leland and Barbara Jordan and Sheila Jackson Lee from Houston, and also here in Atlanta, Georgia. You have been a politician. You have been a businessman, but you have been a politician, and you have been around for a long time. People that don't know you and that are being introduced to you today, they need to know that you were a part of city council. You were a part of the school board. You were also running for mayor. Didn't you run for mayor against Keisha last Bottom?
I did run for mayor. So I'm the only person in that race who actually endorsed Mayor Bottoms. Everyone else endorsed against her. But I knew that she was the right person for the job at that time. You got to stand up not when it's easy for you, but when it's difficult.
Right.
And I stood up to make sure that we could get her in office. And look at it right now. Look at God. She might be someone who finally comes from Atlanta who gets a significant appointment from a presidential administration.
Right. That's what I've been telling you.
I feel like I've had a hand in that, and I'm so thankful that I made the right decision to support her.
Okay, so during the election, what are some of the things that you want to fight for to make people know that you are the right person to put in that seat?
Yes, thank you. So, number one, right now we're in a very, very critical time in our country's history. We've never seen a year like 2020. We've got the COVID crisis in front of us. We got some stimulus money out there, but we've got to get more. There's a stimulus package on the table, and there's a disconnect between Republicans and Democrats. Republicans want to put out $500 billion, and Democrats are saying we need $2 trillion. Now, I agree with the Democrats, but we can't go through Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's without some money hitting the streets.
Right.
We all know that. It need to be direct deposit this time. because if it doesn't hit the streets, it's going to be some all hell in these streets.
Yes.
It's already getting a little dangerous out here,
Right.
but it's going to uptick because people really aren't eating. There's a lot of people lost their jobs, they've lost their businesses, homes are in upheaval because of the school situation, and now we're seeing an uptick in the number of people impacted by coronavirus again. It's like a Black Death going through town all over the country, and 250,000 people have lost their lives. So we got the CARES Act, up to $2 trillion that needs to get on the streets. That could happen this year. We've got the George Floyd Justice Act, focused on justice reform to make sure we have removal of qualified immunity and that we have these unlawful acts by police departments all over the country that should not be happening. We've got to add some reform and restitution and support for the loss of lives that we're seeing continually, primarily Black men and women, trans community, LGBT, anyone who's been in the margins feels the pain of these public safety officers, and the justice system is not just for us. We need also to deal with marijuana and expungements of all records. The MORE Act is on the table, sponsored by Senator Kamala Harris. This act will not only decriminalize marijuana across the country, especially for all medical uses, but it will also expunge records. And I'm fighting to make sure that we expunge every record, every life that was impacted by the 1994 crime bill should be restored. And it should be restored not just if people get out of jail, but they need some financial restorative justice. That's what restoration is, because people lost families, cars, homes, their whole lives, their scholarships. They lost a lot.
Right.
And we've got to bring that back and give that back. And that's the start of the reparations conversation. We get this done and we can move on to reparations. There's also something called the continuing resolution. You know, government shuts down every now and then when they can't agree.
Right.
So we've got to vote also in December around continuing the budget through the new year until President-elect and Vice President-elect Biden and Harris can actually get sworn in, and then they can navigate a little bit better. But right now we're in that in-between time. We got people don't want to leave, people trying to hold on to the seat, you know all that.
Right.
And we got to say, look, come on now. It's over, time to move on, but we need leadership in Congress because it might come down because of the contest in the 3 to 4 states where these recounts are happening, the audits of the elections are happening, that we end up having a contested debate in Congress and the Senate and also amongst the electors, which includes Electoral College and the Supreme Court. So there might be some all-out battle over who is the next president and who actually won.
Right, but a lot of people have been talking about that, but I don't think it's going to get to that point because what they're saying is that, the people, there are laws, just like here in Georgia. They're talking about, we have certified our votes here in Georgia today.
Yes.
And the governor has until 5 o'clock tomorrow to agree with that and sign off on those Democratic electors. But it's just like there are laws in place to prevent all that from happening. And then it's just like the Republican Party, they are slowly coming around because they see that they're slowly coming around because they see that, even with Rudy Giuliani, what Rudy Giuliani did yesterday made him look like a fool going before the court. And the judges are laughing at them.
Yeah.
And they are standing up there with a straight face trying to tell these bold-faced lies, and then when the judge just asks, "Where's the evidence? Where's the proof?" They don't have it. And then even one of the people said, "We don't have to produce the evidence. We don't want to." And the reason we don't want to give you this evidence is because if we tell you these people who have came forward and gave us this information, then they will be harassed.
Yes.
So it's just like a lie on top of a lie on top of a lie. And then you have been in politics for a while. What are some of the things that you initiated while you were here on the city council?
Great question. So as a city councilman, I worked on so many different measures, passed over 752 pieces of legislation over the 13 years I was elected, $2 billion of investment in my district. Where we are is in Council District 2 as well. And the district was basically from 18th Street or 25th Street all the way down to Castleberry Hill. So Old Fourth Ward, Emmett Park, Ponce Highlands, Home Park, Georgia Tech, Georgia State, Atlantic Station. So the really dynamic part of town, the restaurants, the shops, the Beltline, those are all projects that weren't there when I started. And I fought to bring them to my council district. And investment goes where it feels comfortable. Like I said, $2 billion of investment is documented. 18,000 jobs brought to this part of town. People don't locate their companies and their businesses just anywhere. They go where they feel like they can get set up quickly. They know they're going to have favorable relationships relationships with the government. And it doesn't mean government has to give them any money or any incentives. It's just, do they feel comfortable being in that location? And comfort is defined in a lot of ways. Where their employees want to live there. Does it have walkability? Does it design? Do we have dog parks? I mean, we've done from food trucks to tiny houses. I piloted so many programs. I was known as the person who would kind of try out the most innovative things. And I saw my council district and my role as being an innovator, bring new things to the city that make it better based on my experiences and my travel all over the country and all over the world. So you see a good idea in Houston, you see a good idea in Texas or in Chicago or in Europe, in Canada or in South America, bring it back to Atlanta.
Right.
And that's what I tried to do over the years that I was elected, working with the planning community, working with the architects, working with the development community, working with the neighborhood leaders to create an environment that people want to live in. Pond City Market is one of those projects that I brought to the city. Krog Street Market, where you could walk around. Even I had to change the law just to make it where you could walk around and drink inside the buildings. It wasn't legal to do that. So it's always a lot of little laws you have to do. I supported Tyler Perry when he was in Emmett Park. He started out there but had some challenges, and I had to help him because they didn't want him to be in the neighborhood. Now, this is a black man who's doing something very successful, creating jobs, but he grew from almost like 10, 20 million to $100 million in 1 year. And that success drove him out of a neighborhood, but he ended up creating his location over at Greenbrier. So it actually was a blessing in disguise because he got a full campus, and then later now it's at Fort Mac. So, I've been a part of these types of initiatives and just been supportive. Edgewood Avenue, making all those restaurants and shops where now Slutty Vegan is, helping those business owners, those property owners to be able to hold on, because times haven't always been this good and this easy as we've seen in the last couple of years. If you recall, when President Obama was in office, we did have that downturn, that Great Recession that impacted everybody, and we helped people make it through then, and we're doing the same thing with COVID. So that's really what my leadership style has been about. There's no big I, no little U with Kwanza Hall. I'm always accessible. I'm available. I'm a 24-hour council member and servant. You can call me anytime, any day. I'm on every platform on social media. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, Snapchat, call my cell phone. You might see me from any club in town. I support from Backstreet to 112 to Magic City to Cheetah to every church in town. There were 100 churches in my district. And, a lot of people try to look down and nose at other individuals because they have some difference. But I've never been that kind of person because I just don't believe that you can live life thinking that you have anything better than any other individual. There's a large trans community in District 2, right off of Piedmont, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. And when the neighborhood was complaining about, well, what are you going to do about this? And they wanted me to send police officers over there. We're like, wait a minute, you just can't call the police on people who really need solutions, not punishment. We began to work with some nonprofits who were working on justice reform so we could create a pre-arrest diversion program so people don't get arrested. And in that same vein, we passed decriminalization of possession of less than an ounce of cannabis so that all these people who've been impacted by the war on drugs, children, everybody's kid has had a friend or them themselves who's been impacted by having a little bit of weed when they were at college, and they might have lost their whole life, their whole scholarship just because of that. We have people who lost their jobs. So I've always just tried to be accessible, available, and willing to make a difference in the life of anyone who I can help, because I'm in a role, and I've been in a role of stewardship. When you're an elected official, you're a public servant. You're not there to do politics. You may have to navigate politics, but you're not there to play it and do it, especially on your constituents. You're there to serve the public, and the second you don't want to serve or you can't continue to serve, you need to sit your butt down.
Right.
And that's what I did.
Here at WERUradio, we are a LGBTQI plus based radio station. And here in Georgia and really all over the world, hate crimes have really picked up in the LGBTQ community. And I know that it is hard to file a hate crime against someone here in Atlanta, Georgia. And it's obvious to us that some of these crimes that happen in the LGBTQ community are hate crimes. So what is it that you could do to assure the LGBTQ community that you will work to bring awareness to the hate crime bills here in Georgia.
Absolutely. Well, you know, my track record speaks for itself. I've already supported every measure at the city of Atlanta. As a council member, we passed legislation. We worked with State Senator Vincent Ford over the years. He was one of the leaders on the hate crime bill. How you doing? And we also have just number one, you got to be able to take the meeting.
Right.
You got to have friends in the community, and you got to understand what it means to have a hate crime. That's first. And then second, you got to be willing to stand up and speak out when you find some adverse action or energy out there. Luckily, at the national level, I think we've made some positive strides.
We have.
Congressman Lewis has been very strong there. I was just reading on Instagram, there's a lieutenant governor in Pennsylvania who no longer can go on his balcony because he had two types of flags, one for legalizing cannabis and two for equal rights across the LGBTQIA plus community. And that was one of those things where, wait a minute, we're still fighting these battles. We're still fighting the battles, and in some places we've made phenomenal strides, and in other places we're still lagging. So you have my commitment to be a voice locally. You have my commitment to be a voice at the state level and at the national level and international level. Really, it's just having friends who are willing to stand up, be there, and speak out when you're not there. That's really what it boils down to. And if you have the power to pass legislation or to pass or move an agenda forward, you must do it. Plain and simple, because that's what I want a friend to do for me.
Do you have kids?
I had two kids from previous marriage, and there were two sons, and they're in their 20s.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Are you married now?
No, I'm not married. Actually, just recently had an amicable divorce.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So what are some of the things that bring you joy?
Bring me joy. So I love cooking. I love eating pomegranates this time of year, the fall season. I used to love my grandmother's sweet potato pie, so anybody y'all know that makes good sweet potato pies, let me know. So food and family is one of my favorite things. I get joy out of connecting with new people. You know, I really do love meeting people. I don't know a stranger. I'm having a real hard time with COVID because I'm used to being out. I go to the grocery store 3 times a day, 3 different grocery stores,
right.
And they're all around here, so I can just kind of pop into places. But that's where you run into people, stores and walk in restaurant shops. I just love to be out and engage with the community and just be available and not really with an agenda sometimes. You just kind of, how you walk around, you kind of doing things, you get stuff done, you're on your phone, you're having a little meeting, but it's not all you're doing, but you actually find out at the end of the day you got more done than you planned to just by being there. That's what I like to do. I love to be accessible. I do try to make myself especially available for younger people. I'm 49. I turn 50 next year. And a lot of people are like, well, Kwanza, why are you running for this seat, man? What you trying to do next? I'm like, look, I've served for 15 years. I just want to fill this gap. Now, if God has something else for me, I'm open to it, but I'm not trying to author the whole rest of my life to be a public servant, particularly elected. But what I for sure have to do is make sure that I help some younger people, that I mentor other people who have not been in politics, whether they're younger or not, but give some insights and share what I know. I learned a lot, and a lot of times we don't take the time to pass the baton and pass it on and help lift other people up. And then they make the same mistakes you made. Or they make new mistakes that they don't have to make because you already know about that mistake, right? So I just want to be available to others. I want to be able to offer my knowledge. And for sure, God willing, we win this election on December 1st. Of course, there's early voting through Wednesday. I will serve in D.C., do my very best for District 5, and then, spend some time, take a little break for a week or two, and then come back and figure out what I'm supposed to do next. And I'll pray to God and ask for some direction and ask him to order my steps and take it from there.
All right. Our other guest, Linda Pritchett, she's in the building. I want to acknowledge her. Well, I'm going to be talking to her later on. But before you get out of here, I know that you are a proud product of Benjamin E. Mays High School here in Atlanta, Georgia, and you have made a lot of history yourself. And where were you and how did you feel when you received the news that we are going to have our first female sister, a woman of color, and she's going to be the first female vice president of these United States?
Well, first of all, it's gone on too long that we haven't had this, number one, because there's obviously been a lot of qualified women, black women in particular, a long time ago. But I was overjoyed and thankful that we made progress, and that everyone in this room and so many of our friends all were a part of that positive move. We've all contributed in our own very special way. We didn't all necessarily work with the party, but everybody, if nothing else, you voted, you spread it, you tagged friends, young people got engaged. I think it does something phenomenal for young women of color, black women, especially young girls, have something truly that they know they can do. Now, Obama broke the barrier, but now this one right here sets it off because, young girls, you can't stop them.
Right.
And they're a little bit more aggressive than boys at a certain point. So I think we're going to see a whole lot new talent stepping into the fold across a lot of platforms, not just in politics, but in a lot of sectors. And you're seeing it with these companies now. In the last 2 weeks, I've seen so many people appointed to boards and positions and new CEO and new this and new that. So y'all just been waiting on the moment, huh? Y'all need a reason. So I think women have to claim this moment and run with it and never look back.
Okay. Now, before you get out of here,
Sure.
Now, Georgia turned blue for the first time since Clinton won.
Yes.
And there a lot of people are contributing Stacey Abrams and all the hard work that she put into the Democratic Party as a part of Georgia being blue. Are you in contact with Stacey Abrams?
I am in contact with Stacey and Nikema Williams. I know them both. I mean, Stacey and I traveled to Israel together, and we both are German Marshall Fellows. And when I was a city councilman, she was also on the legal department at the city of Atlanta. So we have a long relationship. The same with Nikema Williams. We both worked together on Hillary Clinton's campaign. I was a fundraiser. She was more of a community engagement. She was working at Planned Parenthood. I was a council member. So the relationships are long with me in our community of elected leaders. And I have to say, I give credit to Stacey because once she offered herself up to serve and when she ran for governor, and that was a fresh new move. But then also she continued to fight. So I give a lot of credit to her, but there's many other people who've been working for years, in some cases generations, to see this change happen. And some didn't make it to see it, like Rita Samuels and Juanita Abernathy, and Coretta Scott King, and there's a lot of great sisters who fought for this, and they've been doing the work. Miss Brayboy, I mean, they were doing this work long time ago, so we're standing on their shoulders and their work, and it just pushed it over the top. But we got a lot more work to do because those Republicans voted against Trump, but they didn't vote for Ossoff. Right, and we've got to still get them to also vote for Warnock. So this is still the work that we've been talking about. It needs to be done between now and January 5th. But one of the ways to gin up more votes is to get people engaged to vote in this December 1st election. A lot of people think it's not an important race, and I'm like, wait a minute. So when you talk to your children and you offer, or your cousin, you offer them to taste broccoli or something like that, it takes about 10 times. And then when they try it, you can't get them to stop. Okay. You just had to add cheese or something, right? But it's the same idea. It's a lot of people who have not participated in the voting process for a variety of reasons. Why don't we give them one more chance? This December 1st. We should be using the same amount of power. I mean, I'm seeing flyers and mailers and stuff go out. It's like there's not even a race. Upcoming runoff. And it says December 7th is the day that you get to register to vote. No one's saying there's a December 1st race. I have a real problem with that. Right. I think that's either intentional or unintentional voter suppression.
And which goes back to what I was saying, that everybody needs to keep up what's going on in politics every day. Just like when the new Jordans are coming out, you need to know every time there's an election coming up, you need to participate. I don't care if we're just elected a dog catcher.
That's right.
You need to vote for dog catcher, because later on that dog catcher may try to run for city council or may run for the school board or something like that. So you never know what that dog catcher will end up when it comes to politics. But I want to thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to come up here to WERUradio, and anything that we can do for you to help you, achieve your goal and to replace the remaining term of Congressman John Lewis, then you just reach out and let us know.
Thank you.
Everybody, this is Kwanza, the holiday. Your parents named you after the holiday?
They named the holiday after me. No, I was just joking. No. I guess I was born in 71, and the holiday was started in 66 by Milana Karinga out in California, Dr. Karinga, and he was a professor at Berkeley. But my parents were really, really pro-black and very into, self-determination by the black community, and made sure that I was born with Kwanza. And back then, Kwanza wasn't a cool name. I'm just going to tell you. It took till I was about 12 itself for it even to be normal. You know what I'm saying? People like, what kind of name is that? You from Russia? You Polish? I mean, it was like, no, it's an African name. Africa. Why you African? You know what I'm saying? That wasn't cool, but, you know, it was something I had to grow through and grow into, and it's turned out to be a phenomenal blessing. I'm thankful that my parents gave me this name as a birth name.
All right, everybody, that's Kwanza Hall. You can go and cast your vote today because early voting has already started. He is running for U.S. Congress District 5 right here in Georgia to finish the seat that was occupied by Congressman John Lewis. So thank you for coming once again. Look forward to you going to D.C. real soon.
Thank you so much, and I'll be back. I'll be back as Congressman, God willing. I just want to show you this flyer with all our endorsements, and of course, we have the endorsement of Congressman John Lewis's son, John Miles Lewis. I mean, of course, he's in mourning, but he was willing to step up and offer his endorsement. He said Kwanza Hall is the right choice right now. I'll leave this with you as well.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you. And I just want you to know, you are the first politician that we have had to come through.
Really?
Yeah, we have reached out. Lindis II, and we've reached out to Warnock, and we've reached out to John also, so we're just waiting to hear from them as well. But thank you.
I'll be back.
And good luck with everything. God bless you. I'm your girl, Miss Sophia, holding it down right here at Club Chit Chat on WERUradio. WERUradio. We are the home of the urban sound of pride. Come on, let's ride.
Let's ride.
Tracks and Miss Sophia.
Back to Club Chit Chat with your DJ, Miss Sophia, right here on WERUradio. WERUradio. We are the home of the urban sound of pride. Yes, we are, and that is my favorite gospel artist, honey, the one and only Yolanda Adams. With it came upon a midnight clear, honey. I love me some Yolanda Adams, but I have another love of my life in here today, the one and only. She is Linda Pritchett. How are you, Miss Pritchett?
I am well.
And you are running for state senate here in Georgia for District 39.
Yes, for the second time this year.
Second time this year, you're in a runoff.
No, it makes it the third.
The third.
I ran in June.
You ran in June, and now you ran in November, and then you're in a runoff. So now you have to do it all over again. We got to get these Georgia people out here to vote for you.
Yes.
So for the people that are that are finding out who you are for the first time today, just go on and tell them a little bit about who you are.
Okay, well, I live in the city of South Fulton, and I am a mother, and I am a wife of a former politician, Eric Fleming from Mississippi. I am a certified paralegal with a degree in criminal justice, and I am extremely involved in my community and what goes on at District 39. I've been running for almost a decade.
Okay.
And I've been fighting for the right to serve others.
And what gives you that passion to want to serve other people?
It's just when I was a child, like when the teacher will say, you know, ask a question, I'd be like, I have the answer. I know. And so it's just feeling like I have an answer, I have an idea, I think I can, you know, help contribute to this. So I feel like I really have something to offer based on what I see and what I don't see being done in my district.
So the thing about it is, here in Georgia, we turned Georgia blue for the very first time since 92 when Bill Clinton won. And they have certified the votes here in Georgia. And now they're saying that the governor, the governor is supposed to certify the election, accept the election outcome. He's supposed to sign off on it tomorrow by 5 p.m. So you're running for state senate here in Georgia. So what are some of the issues that you think we have here locally in Georgia that you could help bring about a change to?
Well, first of all, because of COVID, people are hurting. People have lost their lives, their homes, their jobs, and people are facing, real issues. I spoke to a lady today that was telling me that her HOA put a lien on her house and they're trying to take her house from her, trying to get her evicted, and her house is paid off. There's a lot of people in financial distress, a lot of people with food insecurity. So we need to make sure that people are stabilized and receive COVID relief. I'm looking forward to our new president to come, Biden, because I'm positive that he's going to try to pass or he's going to implement some CARES Act relief, COVID relief for people. And Georgia needs part of this relief. We need to recover from just having gone through so much.
Right. So one of the things that I want to ask you is, because we are LGBTQI plus based radio station, we have a lot of issues within the gay community here locally, and you're going to be a part of the local government here in Atlanta. What are some of the things that you see that are going on in the LGBTQ community that you would like to help us with? Or some things that you have already, started out, helping within the gay community?
Well, we want to make sure, I know that healthcare is an issue, making sure that everyone has access to affordable healthcare, that people are not discriminated against, that people have the same opportunity when it comes to, professional, being in what type of jobs you're able to get. I think just making sure that things are fair. Mm-hmm. That's where I see us having to be more sensitive and more inclusive, and just breaking a lot of the stigmas and a lot of the foolishness, right. That keeps people from really feeling comfortable just being who they are, being themselves, Mm-hmm. And so we have to do a better job at just embracing people.
Right, and I was talking to Kwanza Hall, and I was talking to him about the hate crime here in Atlanta. And in the gay community, we know a hate crime when we see it, especially mm-hmm. when it's perpetrated upon us. And it is hard to file charges against these people who commit these hate crimes against gay people. So as a state representative here in Georgia, what change can you bring about to make sure that the hate crime law and the bills here in Georgia stick when there's a hate crime that has been committed?
Well, first of all, the hate crimes bills that we have in place, they don't have enough teeth. They were just,
pacifiers.
Yeah. Well, it was Vincent Fort's intention to make them strong, but in the process of trying to pass them, it got cut down and, things got taken out, and mm-hmm. it needs strengthening. But one of the biggest issues we have in Georgia are not necessarily the laws that are on the books, is the enforcement of the laws. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people don't want to enforce laws, and some people don't want to observe laws. So we just have to make sure that there's a mechanism in place for reporting, a mechanism in place for people to keep track of when things are happening, who's turning the blind eye, who is abdicating their responsibility, because people need protecting.
And speaking of which, because, we've had killings here at the hand of police officers in Atlanta, right after we've had national killing of black men, at the hands of white police officers. What can you do, or what change could you bring about to make sure that police officers are held accountable when they do wrong, just like regular citizens are held accountable when they break the law?
Well, first of all, the police should be accountable because they are bound by their standard operating procedures. A lot of the stuff that we've seen in these hate crimes that police commit, they're against their own procedures. It's just those officials that turn the blind eye. Mm-hmm. And so the qualified immunity that they have is something that we voted on, and that bill passed where they won't have qualified immunity, but we have to work with prosecutors and make sure that prosecutors are advocating, that we're advocating properly for our victims, and that prosecutors get it, that district attorneys get it, district attorneys, the lead head prosecutor. Mm-hmm. And we have to make sure that our police chiefs, that our commissioners that hire them, that our city council that hire them, that they understand these things. And I think that when the public starts understanding who has the authority to do what, and then when you start coming at them, that's when you get the right responses, because going to the governor with it, he has nothing to do with that. But when you go to a police chief, when you protest, a police chief, when you protest to the city council, to the county commissioners, and it's back to enforcement. But here's another thing that's really surprising that goes over people's head. Who's on these juries? Right. See, the jury's supposed to be a jury of your peers, mm-hmm. but it's a jury of the people who vote, and typically who votes all the time. not us. I mean, I'm not saying that African Americans, or minorities don't vote and are not super voters, but not in the same level as...
Right. What you're saying is when they go to pick out these people that are going to sit on these juries and stuff, they look at who's voting and who's voting, constantly, not somebody that vote every now and then.
Right.
So I get it. So we're going to take a break and we're going to have come back and we're going to have more conversation with you, Miss Linda Pritchett. Welcome back to Club Chit Chat, everybody. I'm your girl, Miss Sophia. Hold it down right here on WERUradio. I'm sitting in the studio with the one and only. She is Linda Pritchett, and she is running for State Representative District 39 right here in Georgia. State Senator right here in Georgia, District 39. Come on, baby. Let's ride. Welcome to Club Chit Chat's Happy Hour. That's right, this is Happy Hour where everything is legal, honey. Get your drink on, get your smoke on, get your pills on, get your freak on. Everything is legal right here at Club Chit Chat during our Happy Hour. But today we're going to have to hold back on some of that because we have a politician in here and she cannot be tied up with all of that foolishness and shenanigans. So we have to just drink water and Kool-Aid today while we have Linda Pritchett here. Now she is running for State Senate, District 39, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah, State Senate. She told me, baby, I'm not running for a representative. I'm running for Senate. State Senate here in Georgia, District 39. How are you so far?
I'm doing good.
You're doing good?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
I'm doing better now that I'm with y'all. Y'all done made my day.
Oh, we appreciate you coming. I want to send a shout out to Keisha Wade. Keisha Wade put us in contact with you, and she's a great person. She's a great friend. I've been knowing her for a while, honey. She's been doing her thing, and she's still working on some other things for me, so I appreciate everything that Keisha Wade that she is doing. So you are running for State Senator here in Georgia, District 5. 39, that's
Kwanza 5.
Kwanza 5, you 39. Yeah, see, if I look down at my notes, see, I'm a thespian. I just want to remember my lines and my script. But yeah, it's District 39. So what are some of the things that you have on your agenda when it deals with the LGBTQI plus community?
Well, we were talking a little bit earlier about, the laws regarding hate crimes. I want to make sure that it's specific, not to just be generalized and say, oh, no, that doesn't include you or in this circumstance. We have to, tie that up. And we also have to look at making sure that we have health care that's accessible, affordable, and available to everyone.
Now, I know when you started your conversation, I was saying introduce the people to who you are and let them know about, a little something about you. You were stating that you are married and you have kids. What are your thoughts on gay marriage?
Well, I think that people should be with who they want to be, who makes them happy. And the crazy part about it is that when you're in a marriage, and let's just say, and you're in a gay marriage and something happens to you and you go to the hospital, you want to be able to sign on some papers. You want to be able to say, hey, this is what my husband wishes or this is what my wife wishes, and so without the marriage, you don't have the legal right to do that. You also, if one passes on, then how are you going to pass your assets on to the person who you love the most, without all these different loopholes. So people have a right to be with the ones they love.
So that was the issue that we had in the gay community, because we have friends, not just people, but we have friends who were in long-term relationships. But because gay marriage wasn't legal and one of the partners would pass away, then the family would come in and take over the possessions that person left behind. So what is it that we could do or you could do that make sure that, because they're already talking about the Supreme Court being stacked in D.C. Part of the reason they want to stack the Supreme Court is because they want to overturn gay marriage. So what is something that we could do here in Georgia to make sure that the gay marriage laws are protected?
Well, The first thing is whatever they do on the federal, of course, normally it dictates what trickles down to the state, but we just have to make sure that we stand up against the state, on that issue, and make sure that people know that it's a community that has a strong voice that matters, and then you also have to equip yourself legally and know how to have that little power of attorney. Oh, you said I can't sign here? Voila, here you go. Yeah, I'm signing that paper anyway. And make sure you have your power of attorneys, make sure you have your wills and your estate and, that type of thing in order as plan B, because folks get slick. Mm-hmm. And that's how you outsmart them.
Now, a lot of people in the gay community, they have their own biological kids, but there are some gay couples that want to adopt, and there are a lot of politicians and people who are in powerful places and in powerful positions. They try to block the adoption of kids from gay couples. What is your stance on that?
I have friends that have had children within their relationship. By artificial insemination or what have you, and when people want to, first of all, we have children that need a loving home, and that's what you look at. I think with people, they're not honest about what the issue is. They're thinking because you have one set of sex, then what are you going to do to that child? And that's what their main issues are. Right. And people have to get over that. People have to get over those thoughts, because that's not all it's about. It's not always about actual sex. It's about wanting to express the love that you have, raise someone, up and share that love and raise someone within that love, So you see, like Anderson Cooper and his husband, they just had a baby the other day, and everybody all over the world is excited about it.
Right. So you are for gay adoption.
Yes.
Because the thing about it is, the people who are, just like you said, the example that you gave, because people always say that if you have two men raising a boy, then those two men, 9 times out of 10, then that son that they're raising is going to end up being gay. And if you have two women raising the daughter, then that 9 times out of 10, then that girl is going to turn out to be a lesbian. But then it's just like on the flip side of that, what we say to it is, well, the majority of gay people were raised by a man and a woman. And we still end up liking the opposite sex, not what we saw when we were growing up. So if we could make that decision, not going into a heterosexual relationship, because that's what we saw when we grew up, what makes you think that it's going to be any different from a child that's adopted by a gay couple?
And see, the crazy part is there are a lot of foster families. They adopt, or not adopt, but they take in children for the money.
Yes, there are a lot of that going on, but it's just like, and I have gay kids who have become foster parents, and I know a lot of people who have become foster parents, and then what they had to go through to become foster parents. All the house check, the wellness checks and the house checks, and making sure if you're having a boy and a girl, you got to have this room, you got to have this set up, you got to have, so everything that they go through, then they have to go through classes. They have to go through classes, and there's a whole lot that goes with becoming a foster parent. And then, they have gotten to the point where they wanted to adopt, because it's just like, okay, we want to go on and adopt. And then at that point, somebody from the family, some grandmother or aunt or somebody else say, no, we want to keep them in the family, we want to get the kids. But it's just
where you been all this time?
Right. But it's like the whole thing about it is, people would not put themselves in this situation and go through all of this if they didn't care about the kids.
Exactly.
And then the people that always come up against the people who care about the kids are the ones that are sitting there letting the kids just sit in a foster home. So it's just like, when we have people that are in position to take care of situations like that, that's what we want. And to know that you are one of those people that would help us fight the fight to get these gay adoptions and make them legal, and make all this the situations where it's just confusion. Yeah. That's all it is confusion, and loopholes go away. That's a good thing. And I would be we have to deal with the elephant that's in the room, because when I Google your name, you know what came up.
A lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff. And then I want you to just clear the airways, because a lot of people, you know, we're living in the age of social media, and
Yes.
people are going to be introduced to you today that don't know you, and then they're going to go and Google your name, and a certain situation is going to come up. So could you clear the air about what's going on with that situation? They're talking about you broke into your own house and you were arrested.
Now, how crazy does that sound in the first place?
Okay.
So basically what happened is back in 2018, my parents, they both were dying.
Mm-hmm.
My mother had dementia, well, not dementia, Alzheimer's. My father had cardiac issues. And so we decided to restructure the loan for our house,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that wasn't really working out with the bank, with the servicer, Aquin, which a lot of people have had issues with.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a bankruptcy filed. And so they filed for, they executed a foreclosure, and everyone should know that when you file a bankruptcy, you have a federal stay. That's a federal protection against
Right.
foreclosure. But they foreclosed anyway, and they sold the property to a predatory investor, the same people that are trying to gentrify your neighborhoods. So when they did that, we filed a lawsuit. I mean, I work for an attorney. I'm a paralegal. So we filed a lawsuit, for wrongful foreclosure. And we've been going through the process. But that predatory investor has been trying to get us out the house, the whole time. So they filed dispossessory after dispossessory. And they were getting shot down left and right. But it wasn't until this year that one particular judge entertained them, allowing them to transfer a case a whole year later to try to get the house, and she entertained it. And during the COVID period, while we were under judicial order, she signed for that eviction order. Now, me being in the legal profession, knowing no one's enforcing or signing these orders during the COVID emergency, why would I be checking and looking for that? I didn't see it. And so then when part of these orders were lifted, then they started executing the eviction. Now, the sheriff's office didn't serve us with any paperwork. They just showed up at my house. So they show up at our house, they put the stuff out, and then my attorney had advised me there's a law, it's called Clower versus I don't remember who, but it's a case law from the 1900s where people used to have issues with property. And when you have a controversy of property, it's based on possession. Whoever has possession is who keeps possession until it's determined by the court.
Right.
So based on that, we regained possession of our house because we have a lawful claim to the property. Number one, we had the federal stay, and number two, we have pending litigation. So we went back in our house, and then a few days later, they show up with the police. The police allowed them to start drilling through our locks and everything. Now, the police only have jurisdiction over criminal matters, not civil matters. When it comes to baby mama stuff, he took my this and he owed me $20. That's a civil matter. You have to go to the court. They only deal with criminal. But those people, which they were white, I don't know what kind of madness they told the police, but initially the police had to stand down and they apologized for the whole thing. So then a few days later, they filed something else asking the judge, hey, give us another dispossessory over this house, make the sheriff have to put them out, and the judge denied them. But they don't think that the police can read, and I'm almost inclined to believe that some officers can't read either, because the order never said put her out. But they went to the police and said, oh, look, this order says put them out. Then they told the police chief that the marshals and the sheriff was there and they were acting as a standby. And they said that I destroyed their locks and that I broke into the house. And it wasn't even that kind of situation. We're still in litigation at this time, so basically at that point, they decided to arrest me because I knew my rights and I was just asserting my rights as, someone in the midst of litigation. And when I got arrested, I hadn't even reached the police. I hadn't reached the jail, and it was breaking news on every TV station. Who leaked that? the police. And this was politically motivated just to embarrass me in the middle of a campaign. Now, what I'm finding out more, through this process is there are so many people that have found themselves in my same situation. The difference is I'm kind of a fighter. And I'm not saying that other people not being a fighter is the wrong thing. It's people don't know how to fight in these situations. This is embarrassing. This is humiliating. This is discouraging. A lot of people go through the same stuff where they get that knock on the door, their stuff gets put on the curb, and what they do is they put it in storage and they move in with their family, and then they just let home ownership go.
But the thing about it is, I always say that God put us through stuff, not only for ourselves, but for other people. And so for you to experience this firsthand, now you know from firsthand experience what other people are going through. And then with somebody like me and a whole lot of people like me who are into politics daily, we know that the further you climb up the political chain, the more they come after you. And for you to be sitting here across from me today tells me that, all of this, the majority of it is politically motivated.
Absolutely.
Because that's what they do. It's just like the same thing with, Reverend Warnock, they're coming down on him, the same thing with John Ossoff, and the same thing with Kwanza Hall. Whenever you are looking like you are getting ready to take over that seat, they're going to come for you the hardest, and they're going to look for the stuff that's going to drag you down. And then it's just like you're saying, and just like we see now, Trump and his campaign and his organization, they're making all these accusations, but they don't have any proof. And then with you being a female, and women get it the most, because the half of the stuff that you're going through, they wouldn't do that stuff to men. They don't do that stuff to men, but it's women, and it's like they sought after women so they can, make you all look bad and make you want to give up and not go forward with what you're trying to do. But I encourage you to keep on doing what you're doing, because anytime they're coming after you, that means that you are a threat to them, and they know that you are coming to get the job done. So are there any other things that you want to say to our viewers and to our listeners to let them know that you are the best person for this position, and how to get in contact with you, and why they should go out and vote for you?
In the beginning of this interview, I talked about fighting for the right to serve. I've been fighting for the right just to represent people, just to offer them a solution. And with the people that I talk to, you know what they want out of a state senator? Somebody that they can see, somebody that they're going to remember. A lot of people don't remember who the senator was before now, because they don't see you, they don't hear from you. They want a state senator that informs them. I send out a newsletter that has over 2,000 subscribers. They want somebody that's going to introduce legislation, someone that's going to do some work, and someone that understands what they're talking about, someone that can relate to them, someone that has either personal experience or that has compassion for people. And I also am the only candidate in this race with the relevant experience. I have worked at the state capitol with Senator Donzella James, Representative Sandra Scott, Representative Ronnie Maber. I've worked in the city of South Fulton at City Hall, and I've been at MPU meetings, HOA meetings, commission meetings, election board meetings, you name it, I'm there. And what people want is someone who's going to be there for them. And that's me, Linda Pritchett. And my website is vote4linda.com. And if you want to reach me personally, my number is 678-561-2263.
And not only that, you are also a volunteer, so it's not always about the money to you. You are a great volunteer, and the proof is in the pudding, because you are one of the recipients of the Barack Obama Lifetime Achievement Award, and those are awards that he gives out to people who volunteer around, in different states, and you are one of the recipients of that award. How does that make you feel?
That's one of my proudest accomplishments. I first started when I moved to Georgia. My church is World Changers, and I would volunteer and be at church.
Oh, she had World Changers. She had World Changers.
Come on. Don't hold it against me. But I used to be at church so much volunteering that people thought I was one of the employees. So, service. And as I mentioned, I think before, my aunt was Celia Cruz, and one of the biggest projects that she volunteered with was the League Against Cancer. And she wound up dying from cancer, but she helped raise millions of dollars by singing and volunteering in different ways. And so I think that rubbed off on me, just making good use of your time, doing things to help others. It's so rewarding.
Now, you say that rubbed off on you, but you say you can't sing like her.
I could sing a little bit. I said, you know what I said? I said it sounds good to me, though. It sounds good to me. I don't know if you gonna like it, but it sounds good to me.
Okay, well, I thank you. You have been wonderful, and I hope that you've enjoyed being here with us. And we look forward to helping you, and all that you have planned on doing for the state of Georgia, for the state of Georgia and the city of Atlanta. But listen, you are an African-American woman, and if you make history, you are also, biracial. So you are...
I'm Cuban. I'm first-generation Cuban, but what most people don't realize is that Cubans are black, too. Actually, 90% of Cubans are black. It's not just Ricky Ricardo. It was Celia Cruz and a whole bunch of other Negroes like us.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you win this seat, then you would be
I'll be the first Hispanic female state senator of the state of Georgia.
And last question.
Yes.
We are getting ready to have our very first African-American woman of color vice president of the United States of America.
Goodness.
What did that do for you?
Well, first, I met Kamala, and I love her because she's so authentic, she's so real, but she's so tough, and she's very focused. So I'm so inspired by her that I'm wearing pearls these days because of her. Because pearls make every outfit look good, even a T-shirt. It make it pop, But she's a great leader. She's strong and she can hold her own, and she's definitely the right person that we need. I'm so thrilled, and it helps with our identity. It just helps us to know that we've broke through a threshold that people have reserved for only certain people for so long. And I'm just excited to see how she's going to preside over the U.S. Senate.
Okay. This is Linda Pritchett, and she is running for state senator right here in Georgia for District 39. Now, I know I said that was going to be the last question, but this is the last question. I want you to tell me, what is your favorite food?
Pizza. And Oz Pizza happens to be my favorite place. Seriously, I'm from New York. What you expect? I'm from New York. Pizza. Oz Pizza is my favorite. If I ate pizza every day, I'd be about 5,000 pounds. But I tried it.
All right, I love you and God bless you with all that you're trying to do. And I look forward to you coming back and being a part of our WERUradio family. Are there any questions that you have for us?
Oh, you tell me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No.
It's no ma'am.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
No, I'm just kidding. All right. And Kamala, I'm going to put a call in for you because I know you want to be an AKA girl.
I do.
I'm going to put a call in for you. Although I'm a Delta, I'm going to put a call in for you, girl.
Okay. All right, then.
Oh, I'm your girl, Miss Sophia, holding down right here on WERUradio. WERUradio. We are the home of the urban sound of pride. This is Pass It.